So there's now a vaccine available in some regions that covers many more of the HPV, so not just the four that I mentioned earlier. So we have advancements in the vaccines as well.
Any acts about lifestyle that women can do to curtail all this? Because
so we wouldn't say that using because it's a virus, the virus has to be passed between two different people. So it's not a bacteria that is like could grow on something that's external. So this virus lives, we know, and it's transmitted via skin-to-skin contact. So it won't come from sanitary pads unless maybe you were, I think maybe if you were using a dirty sanitary pad that somebody else had used who had HPV.
course, yeah.
But if they've been cleaned, then I think that it would be fine. I understand the difficulties, particularly living in a hot country, of using sanitary pads, because what tends to happen is we become very hot and sweaty, and it's the perfect breeding ground for both candidal infections. So things like you get your candida, which we call a yeast infection, or a thrush, which is a fungal infection. So all of that is more likely when you have to when you're having a period and using pads. Vaccines very expensive. So the vaccines will be provided free on the immunisation programme. I'm not actually aware of how much the vaccines cost, but if you were getting it in the normal routine in the vaccine programmes with the immunisation schedules, then it would be free. I think that there is, and this is where you see this everywhere. It's not just in Tanzania, it's in the UK where I'm from as well. And it's people are very hesitant about it. And I think the best thing to do is I'm completely honest and I just give all of the facts over. Obviously it's somebody's body and it's their choice of what they do. I think once, as a healthcare professional, if you see someone with cervical cancer, then what you realise is how devastating having cervical cancer can be. And what's very sad is that I know that could have all been prevented if they'd have had the HPV vaccine. So from my perspective, it's explaining how serious it can be to have cervical cancer, and that the HPV vaccine doesn't have any risks, it doesn't have any harm, it doesn't increase girls to go out and be promiscuous or have many sexual partners. It's just one part of protecting girls' health, just as we would do with any other vaccination or anything that we would give. So like I don't know, like a hepatitis in vaccination or a TB vaccination. We need to think about this as protecting everybody moving forward, getting rid of cervical cancer, saving those 6,000 people a year who die and the other people who are affected, you know. So that's how I would always broach it. And also what I always say is if you don't want to do it today, then let's revisit this chat. So go away and think about these things. And if you want me to talk to a group of women in your community or a group of men in your community about what this means, then I'm more than happy to do that. I think there's no myths, there's nothing that I'm trying to hide from people here. We have the data from lots of other countries where the vaccination program has had a very high uptake, been very successful, and we've seen a reduction in cervical cancer and in genital warts, so which can be really upsetting for people to contract genital warts. And we never want to think that this will happen to our daughter or our sister or ourselves, but it does happen, and you know that's what I see every day. So I try and say that, yeah, and I think that all healthcare professionals should be opening the conversation. If you're coming to a doctor about any kind of gynecological problem, then we can just very easily ask about a smear test, a pap smear, and then do one. So I would say, number one, if you get HPV, then it is not your fault. Everybody who's having sex will come into HPV and usually into contact with HPV, and usually your body's immune system will clear it on its own. Number two, the vaccine is very safe. We've got lots of data on it. It's been used for over 20 years in Australia, and there's no long-term health effects that have been found. It does not cause infertility, and it does not cause girls to be promiscuous and go out and have lots of sex. And number three, just ask the questions. If you're worried about this and you're sitting on the fence about it, speak to your healthcare professional. We can give you all of the information that you need, and we all need to work together to protect women. So by getting the three things we need to do to eradicate cervical cancer are the HPV vaccine, regular cervical screening, and then early treatment of any precancerous lesions.
Many thanks for joining us on Wellness Social Media Wire Express. It's been an insightful, educative, and informative episode. Our heartfelt thanks to Dr. Anna Graham for taking time off her tight schedules to educate us on HPV virus. I know you've learned a lot, but this interview will be also uploaded live on our YouTube channel. You might want to join and to send in your comments, suggestions, and questions. We would answer them as and when we see them. Join us again same time next week. My name once again has been Marina Bakimasa, and many thanks to Dr. Graham for joining us. Thank you.